Y'all, it's Raymond Dahlman back with DSA Financial Group. Hope you had a fantastic week. It's a little dreary and cloudy here in Colorado, but all in all, not too bad. It's starting to warm up, and I think we'll have some 60-degree days tomorrow and Sunday. So hopefully we'll get some outside time. In other news, the Astros finally won a game. That's always a good thing. I do take part of the blame. My wife and I went to Maui the week before, and the Astros basically lost every game while we were gone. So I have to wonder if it was my lack of presence here in front of my television. So, but they also lost both games here in Denver. And no, I didn't go to the game. It was cold and snowy both days. So freezing my ass off at Coors Field was not my idea of a fun time. So anyways, again, hope everyone had a good week. Hope everyone's happy and healthy out there and not sick with the corona. So anyways, all right, well, let's go ahead and dive into the week. And let's first take a look at the chart of the indexes. The Dow Jones this week looks like, let's see if we start here. Looks like it was down about 0.5%. Not a terrible week. A little rough early on, and then yesterday was kind of rough after some of the news about raising capital gains taxes. Let's take a look at the S&P 500. It looks pretty flat. Finished down 0.12 if my numbers are right here. Again, a very similar chart. Let's look at the Dow Utilities. Was up more in the middle of the week. Let's see where we started out and where we ended. Down about 0.84. And then the NASDAQ, again, a very similar chart. Let's see where we finished at for the week, about down 0.72. And then the Dow Transports were actually, it looks like we're up a smidge. So they were up about 1.35%. So we'll check the final numbers on Monday and see how that is. So as far as commodities, gold settled at the end of the week at 1777, silver at 2601, and Bitcoin at the time of the close was at 50,955. So all in all, not a terrible week. I do expect as more and more people are back to work and the economy gets back to some state of normalcy, we'll see these things kind of level out and really have a better idea of where each asset class is headed, whether or not it's going to continue on this run or if we're going to see a contraction at some point. So let's go ahead and close that down and let's take a peek at what's going on in the news this week. The CDC is recommending that the JNJ vaccine go back into use. Don't really care. I'm not getting a vaccine. Capitol riot arrested. Ghislaine Maxwell pleads not guilty. That's kind of interesting. So this should really be a bigger story. I don't know why it's not getting more news nationally. Let's take a look over at Fox. The Chauvin verdict came in this week. I'm pleased that there weren't a lot of burned down cities. Not to say I agree with how the verdict came out. I don't think personally, looking at the charges, didn't really fit the crime, so to speak. But hey, I wasn't sitting in the jury box, so I'll go with what they had to say. So, but I would expect it'll probably get overturned on appeal, quite honestly, with the pressure that the media and politicians were putting on folks. So anything else? Ted Cruz. Ooh, Caitlyn Jenner is going to run for governor of California. Honestly, I couldn't think of a better person to represent that bipolar state. So I'll leave that there. Alrighty, so let's take a look at some of the jobs numbers. Initial jobless claims were forecasted to come in at around 617, came in at 547,000, so that is a little bit better. Last week's number came in at 576, was revised up to 586, but still better than the forecast. So, I'm trying to find those rays of sunlight out there. I feel like I'm always pointing out the tallest midgets in the room, but That is certainly some good news. Continuing jobless claims came in at 3,674,000, just a hair above forecast. Let's see, last week's actual the report was 3.731, and it was revised down to 3.708. So again, some positive news. I still would like to see the continuing jobless claims coming in at a much lower number, below 2 million. To me, that would signal that we're really, back at, full employment. Same thing with the initial jobless claims. I'd like to see those in the, the 200 to 250,000. We're getting there. So, we're about 100% higher than where we would like to be, but we'll see where that goes. As far as some interesting articles that I had flagged this week, here's a first one. It's from LouRockwell.com. It's called How Empires End by Jeff Thomas, the international man. It kind of goes through the Persians, the Tangs, the Spanish Empire, and kind of lists the things that start to go wrong before things completely fall apart. One, the reach of government leaders habitually exceeds their grasp. Dramatic expansion. The population is overtaxed. Heavy taxation. Cost of goods rise without wages keeping pace. Again, all things we're dealing with right now. Personally, I'm kind of a accelerationist or a collapsitarian. I'd really like to just see the federal government collapse so we can start over and get rid of this terrible system. I really don't want my taxes going to pay for bums in New York or LA. I shouldn't be paying for any of this stuff. I should really only be contributing to the people in my own community, because I frankly don't consider those leftists on the coast good people. All right, the next article is 18-year-old undergoes 3 brain surgeries from clots from the JNJ vaccine. A Nevada teen had the vaccine April 1st and has since had 3 brain surgeries to repair clots that she developed. This was from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Again, this stuff doesn't get a lot of publication. I haven't seen hardly anything on the national news channels that I have on mute all day. So just wanted to share some of this. Couldn't hurt to also go to the VAERS website, VAERS, and look at the weekly report of deaths from these vaccines and the the other issues that people are having that aren't mortal, or don't kill the person off. And then the third article I had here was the only way to get ahead now is through crazy, risky speculation. So it's something I can totally agree with. I look back 15 years ago when I started as an advisor. There were definitely quite a few places you could safely put your cash and count on a guaranteed return. Granted, you weren't going to get double digits, but hell, I had a high yield savings accounts that were paying 3 and 4%. You could easily get CDs and bonds that were higher than that with very little to no risk. And today, there's just we've had a decade of low interest rates, and it's really been punitive to those who save and those who plan ahead. So I'll link this article to the show notes, and there was let's see here. All right, sorry for pausing for a second. So the last thing I wanted to share was one of my favorite podcasts. It's the Dangerous History podcast. And I want to go ahead and share just a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes maybe of this recording. Professor CJ does a fantastic job. And this is actually from one of his earlier podcasts. He redistributed it in, I think, the last week or two. It's very good. It talks about some of the trials and experiments that have been done by our federal government on some people who are, let's just say, less than educated. And so let's go ahead and take a minute and listen to him, and then I'll jump back in and we'll finish things up.
Overjoyed and thankful, you go to this place. There, you're told in very vague terms that you don't even come close to understanding about some new experimental treatment. You're told that it's still not 100% worked out, but you're told it is likely to help your condition, and furthermore that the data obtained from you test driving this treatment may help others as well, and you're told that the risk of side effects, while they may exist, are minimal. And that's the most you're told. Perhaps you're not even told quite that much. Keep in mind you're a poor person with little education, maybe only partially literate. And these very intelligent looking and very intelligent sounding doctors, in their white coats with their clipboards, very well groomed, serious looking men, are using terminology you just don't understand. In fact, the average middle class person probably wouldn't understand for that matter. But nothing of this sounds off or threatening to you at the time. It seems like this prestigious university hospital is just trying to simultaneously do some good charitable work for those less fortunate and obtain a little data on some new treatment at the same time. These are top doctors at a top hospital, so you, of course, defer to their judgment. Now, they administer a treatment to you. It's something that feels a bit funny, maybe, but not bad, at least not at the time. They release you from the hospital and you go home, and for a while things are okay. Then you start to have some problems. Maybe you die fairly soon thereafter. Maybe you live on for years, even decades, but with all sorts of pain and strange side effects. Perhaps your hair falls out very prematurely. Perhaps you have skin disorders. Perhaps you have strange pains.
All right, let's go ahead and stop there. So, like I said, it's an interesting listen. It's about a little over an hour's time to listen through. And like I said, the Dangerous History podcast is one of my favorites. He does deep dives on everything from the Civil War to more recent history. He has a strong dislike for Woodrow Wilson, which I do share. Basically, all the problems that we're dealing with today, a lot of them go back to the Wilson administration, getting us into World War I, creating the Federal Reserve, the income tax. I could go on, but I won't. So, like I said, I would give that a listen. It's a entertaining use of your time, and certainly go back through his catalog. He has some fantastic works that you learn a little something. You learn a little more detail about what's what the real history of our world is, and it's frankly, it's just really entertaining. So, all right, well, that's everything I had for this week. Kind of a for me, getting back into the swing of things after being out of town for a week, and still have some aches and pains from sitting in an airplane for long periods of time. But anyways, if anyone needs anything from me, feel free to give me a call, shoot me an email. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this with friends and family. And I'll talk to everyone on Monday. Have a good weekend. Bye.